But the biggest disadvantage of doing this is that if it's a text layer inside your Photoshop file, it will not be recognized as a text layer inside DaVinci Resolve. Inside After Effects, you can right click and say convert it into an editable text, but that's not the case here in DaVinci. It will always come as like a smart object inside Photoshop. With text animations, it's not so much about the animation, but it's about the design of the text, right? Om Namah Shivaya. So I made my first commercial render using only DaVinci Resolve. Almost. Let me explain what I mean. This project was actually made by a teammate of mine and was made inside Premiere using some morph cut, and they weren't really happy with the transition the way it was happening. So I came into DaVinci, and the first thing that I want to cover, which is extremely impressive about DaVinci Resolve, is the fact that if you come into here into your effects, like your built-in video transitions, the amount of options that DaVinci gives you is crazy. So if I come in the middle here, one thing is like you can just, wherever your timeline is, you can scroll, like scrub through these, and you will get all these transitions. So the one that I ended up using was smooth cut. So we're going from one garment to another. So smooth cut. And if you go through all of these, like these are some very good transitions. Arrow, cross, diamond, eye. And what was even impressive was like door, push, something like this, like push. If you can just apply a bunch of these, you don't need to do that keyframe thing inside After Effects. We have slide, we have split like this. Like if you do it reverse, there's a lot of ways you could use it, but I'm not really sure about the customization aspect of them, like how much can you customize them. But you compare this with something like Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro has like 4 or 5 dissolve transitions, video transitions, whatever. So this is a very extensive library. I don't know if this is because of the studio version that it gives you so many options, but it might as well even be in the normal version. Yeah, stuff like these are available in After Effects, but then again, when you're dealing with footage which you've put together in a Premiere timeline, having to go to After Effects is a big pain. This is something I found really interesting, the film strip transition. So let me just drag this here. Film strip, yeah. Transition like this is super cool, and you can change the alignment, so you can make it oh no, that's like in the middle or something like that, and set as default. You can only change the duration, that is it. So yes, the transitions are good, but they're kind of limited with what you can do with them. Anyway, that was that, and I'm gonna mute my audio here, it's not needed. This is the entire video, right? And I put together inside DaVinci. This is the very interesting part here, this fusion composition. So I'm going to select this and go into fusion. And this was a PSD layer, it was a PSD that was given to me, and I had to make a simple end slate out of it. And by default, I would obviously go into After Effects and make that end slate situation. But this thing I made, right? What is wrong? Okay, this is being a little weird at the moment because of the font Babus New. I don't know what's the problem with the font, but it's very weird. Behaves in weird ways. It was crashing After Effects so many times yesterday. So this here was Babus New regular. So how did I achieve this? The thing is, these, once you have a fusion composition, you can come into Fusion tab and import PSD, and then you search for wherever your PSD is. What it will do is it will make a single node out of every single layer that you have in your PSD file. And if that's the kind of workflow that you need, it's okay, it's good. But the biggest disadvantage of doing this is that if it's a text layer inside your Photoshop file, it will not be recognized as a text layer inside DaVinci Resolve. Inside After Effects, you can right click and say convert it into an editable text, but that's not the case here in DaVinci. It will always come as like a smart object inside Photoshop. So you have to manually come in here and make a text node and then type in your text and do that thing once again. Right off the bat, that's a big disadvantage of using it this way. Then you just put them through a merge layer and like your basic stuff, which I've already gone through. The most interesting part here is this paper effect. So if I bring this image plane, so this was the unit, this was the layer which came from After Effects. If I put this on my first monitor, you'll get to see what I'm doing step by step. So what I did is that I added it to an image plane 3D And image plane is basically a container in which you can put things, but it is telling DaVinci Resolve that this has now 3D capabilities, which is why once you view this node and you hold down Alt and middle mouse button, you're going to have the entire 3D viewport to navigate and stuff. And importantly, once you have your image plane 3D, you cannot directly, if I were to take these out, you cannot merge this image plane 3D into any merge node or anything. It will not work. So the moment you introduce 3D, you have to have a render 3D node in picture, and you can put this here. Let me just remove this. It'll go into render 3D. Oh, how did this get disconnected? Yeah, so the socket that you put things into matters, right? That's important because they cause a bit of a problem. You put it in an image plane and then you render it out. And how do you get that rolling kind of effect? Is you add the Blender 3D node here. And the Blender 3D has, if I put the render on 1, you're gonna see that this is happening. And how do you achieve this inside your Blender 3D node? You're gonna put the type to bend. This is very similar to Blender's what is it called, bend modifier, something like that. Put the amount to 1, XYZ, angle at 90 degrees. The center is where you're going to start this thing from, and then you play with the range until you get what it is that you're looking for. So if you do it this way, then it will roll from here and then here. You see that it's not very easy, like just making a simple enslate using Fusion and this entire thing for a video, it's way easier done inside After Effects. But again, why are we doing so much of effort going to DaVinci Resolve and doing this? Simply because you can come in here, use the entire horizontal timeline for your edit, and then in the same program itself, even if I wanted to use, let's say, one of these images inside this Fusion composition, it's as simple as dragging a media in this Fusion composition. Just dragging a media in. That's one thing I don't quite understand. I've selected this and I'm going into Fusion. Yeah, now it shows. And yeah, that level of flexibility is why I'm doing all of this effort. But in the end, did I end up using this? No, I rendered out the video because that transition is something that I was needing. And inside of After Effects, I made the final render. Because with like work, you cannot be like, oh no, I'm trying to experiment, and no. When it comes to work, you pick your best tools and get the job done, no matter how, no matter what it feels like. Okay, so let me see if I can find the After Effects project. So here you see, again with text, right? I think there was a composition where I was trying to add text on top, and I was trying to do text animations. But with text animations, it's not so much about the animation, but it's about the design of the text, right? So being able to like flexibly do this instead of like there is no animation on the text at all here, but it looks a lot premium. And then I came into After Effects, and this is just your CC page turn effect. And here, because of the font, again, I was not converting this into a text. I started like my mask reveal effects on top. This took like, I don't know, making this end slate took I think 5 minutes, maybe less than 5 minutes. But this thing here took a lot of struggle and effort to make. And that was one thing I wanted to document. The other thing that I wanted to document, which is important, is if I come into, I was trying to experiment with this thing yesterday. The entire cutout episode, I want to do it through a map kind of situation. I'll go into that more at some point. But right now, I just want to like cover one basic thing here. How you can use markers and trigger certain animations to happen. So if you see here in this composition, there are 3 markers. When we come to marker 1, and depending on this value, 30, if I go 30 frames ahead, you see the camera goes from its current position to where this shape layer is. Okay, if I come to 30 frames ahead, it goes to, or camera goes from original position to here. And this is flexible in it that I can drag to marker here, and then from here it'll go to here. Similarly, if I can drag the 3 marker here, it goes from its original position to this position here. That is all nice and good. But the way this is set up is it's using the nearest key, marker nearest key or time.index. And what happens is, once we've gone here, right, it stays here at 1 only like halfway through the other marker. The moment we go past the halfway, the nearest marker becomes this, and so it snaps back to its original position, which I need to somehow fix. Like I want to like adjust the code such that when I come halfway, like I have to still identify this as the nearest key, but when I come to halfway I wanted to retain the position that it had gone to in this, which I'm not sure how. This entire code I have learned through Aminoplex's video. I will put that in the description as credit, and Dan Abbott's motionscript.com situation. Great resources for scripting and expressions. So that's all I wanted to document in this session. There's going to be a lot more that I have to document as time passes by, but this is all there is for right now. So we'll let the ambulance pass. Alright, thanks so much for being in the khud. I will catch you tomorrow.